welcome to ET Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups, technology and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Shrikant coming to you live from India's startup capital, Bengaluru. We start a little late because of that mega news break from RBI, but on to the big story from the Indian e-commerce space, because this is the biggest ever deal as far as consumer internet in India is concerned. The SoftBank investment in Flipkart has finally come through. Now, we reported last week that, despite merger talks failing with Snapdeal, this will not have any bearing on SoftBank's investment plans. That's exactly what's happened. So a week after Snapdeal walked away from merger talks with Flipkart, SoftBank Vision Fund has gone ahead and invested $2.5 billion in Flipkart. Now, this combined with the $1.4 billion that Flipkart had raised a few months back from the likes of Tencent and Microsoft takes its overall cash position to over $4 billion, giving it enough ammunition to battle Amazon in India. Now, this was a mix of primary and secondary sale, which means some existing investors of Flipkart also got part exits thanks to this new deal. So the likes of Tiger Capital managed to get some exit for all the money they've invested in Flipkart. But to really get more insight on this, we have a special guest on the show, one of the shareholders of Flipkart. This is an ET Now exclusive. IDG Ventures MD TCM Sundaram talks to ET Now Startup Central exclusively on what the Flipkart deal means. Mr. Sundaram, thank you so much for talking exclusively to ET Now. As one of the many shareholders of Flipkart, you of course came into Flipkart shares via Myntra. What is your own take of this mega deal, the $2.5 billion booster shot of sorts that Flipkart got today?
So it's a very interesting development, both for Flipkart as well as for the Indian startup companies. This gives confidence, this shows the confidence of the global investors that Indian companies can continue to lead in India. Flipkart is #1 in e-commerce, and this will give them an ability to continue to be the market leader.
Ability to be market leader. But Mr. Sundaram, I know this is a combination of primary and secondary investment. Even if you don't want to get into the details of the secondary part, will Flipkart have enough runway to really focus on expansion, focus on its ambitious plans, considering there is also some secondary component here? Take us through what this means for Flipkart at the end of the day. Will a significant amount, a portion of the $2.5 billion come to Flipkart directly, or is a major chunk going to existing shareholders? What will it mean for Flipkart's plans going forward?
Our understanding is that Flipkart has been managing their burn anyway in terms of progressively moving towards a profit plan over time, and this must give them sufficient capital to be able to reach profitability.
The way this is being seen is that, this is SoftBank's anti-Amazon alliance, so to speak, because SoftBank is now an investor in Flipkart, in Snapdeal and also in Paytm. So, is this ultimately a battle between Jeff Bezos and Masayoshi Son of SoftBank? What does it mean for the consumer internet market?
I don't know whether somebody has to look at it that way. I think it is more about the way it has played out in other big markets like China, where there are local startups by the local entrepreneurs versus global companies which have tried making inroads. And this is a competition between local entrepreneurs versus global companies. And it's a healthy thing. It's great to see that local entrepreneur companies can continue to be market leaders. It's good for the country as well.
But the downside is that, people feel that $2.5 billion could lead to another bubble-like situation, an irrational exuberance sort of situation, which we saw a couple of years back again when SoftBank was investing, huge sums of money in Indian startups. Some of its bets failed. Actually, most of its bets, save a couple, have failed. So is this again leading to that bubble-like situation in India? Will valuations perhaps again start becoming unreasonable?
So let's look at it two ways, right? The first one is, it is the investors' confidence in the way where Flipkart is and what it is expected to achieve in future, right? The second is, with the large investment coming in, does this show investor confidence coming back to invest in startup ecosystem? Yes. And will it lead to irrational exuberance like you are saying? In every cycle it happens for some period of time, and it is left to the discipline of individual investors in terms of whether they are entering late and overpaying. But I believe this shows that Indian startup ecosystem is now ready to absorb more capital.
But sir, will profitability take a back seat again? I mean, now people have money to spend, money to burn. So, that sanity, will that take a back seat? Will profitability again take a back seat?
As you know, one is not private to this, and end of the day, all businesses have to turn profitable, and that is something that any business which wants to actually go for a liquidity event like an IPO will have to plan for, and that is something that the balance between growth and profitability will keep happening, but it is necessary that every business has to become profitable.
Right. Mr. Sundaram, though people are talking about an increase in internet access and potential for growth, the fact remains that India's GDP per capita still doesn't support that level of spend and shopping. A majority of these e-commerce players are still focusing on that first India one, the 100, 200 million consumers. They're going after the same target market. So how will this fundamentally change things from a growth perspective? Where is the next wave of growth going to come from for these companies that now have more money than ever?
See, I think we should look at it as a very long-term business being built, right? And we believe that out of 350 million internet users, that is likely to go to 500 and to 700 million internet users in the next, depending on whom you ask, anywhere between 3 to 5 years. And out of that, this 50-60 million internet buyers is expected to cross between 200 to 250 million internet buyers, right? Online buyers. So the battle, if you will, between the leaders is going to be in getting a lion's share of the next 150-200 million new buyers who are coming into the market in the next 5 years time. And after that, then it will stabilize and then grow further, and with the demographic profile changing, with also the affordability levels changing in the country, with its GDP growth being fairly stable, we believe that the spends on retail and more so on e-commerce will grow significantly.
As one of Flipkart shareholders then, Mr. Sundaram, are you somewhat relieved that, this was a straightforward investment by the Vision Fund? There was no overhang or, the headache of integration to focus on because the Snapdeal merger got called off. So, this frees up Flipkart management to just focus on growth, not get bogged down by, integration issues and indemnity and other baggage. I mean, is that a big relief as a Flipkart investor today?
See, any merger, without getting into details, any merger will involve its own challenges in terms of integration and other things. So, when in this case, which is a straight investment and without the overheads associated with, integration and, liabilities or others that could need to get discussed. In that sense, this is a simpler thing where the management can focus on growing their business.
So how is IDG Ventures celebrating? How are you celebrating this big deal then?
Well, you can see me smiling.
Smiling bite for sure, but thank you so much for that mega exclusive interview. One of Flipkart's key shareholders, only on ET now. And we take this discussion forward then with two people who know a lot about e-commerce, a lot about investing. K. Ganesh, thank you, sir. K. Ganesh, serial entrepreneur and investor. We also have Anil Kumar of Redseer Consulting, who tracks this space very closely. K. Ganesh, I'm going to come to you first. This is something that we've discussed back and forth before the merger happened, after it got called off, and now you're seeing SoftBank plowing in $2.5 billion. But, are we sort of setting ourselves up again for a bubble situation? Things seem to have calmed down. Some, rationality came back. Are we going to see big money again come back to the Indian startup ecosystem? K. Ganesh, if you can hear me?
No, I think it's a great development.
K. Ganesh, can you hear me?
You heard from TCM saying that he was, as usual, understated in terms of interesting development. I think it's a great development, shows the... Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me? Hello?
Sir, go on, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me? Hello? They are not able to hear.
I can hear you, Mr. Ganesh. Go on.
They can't hear. Hello?
Fix Mr. Ganesh's line. I'm just going to go to Mr. Anil Kumar. Anil, from your perspective, what does this mean for the industry? Are we going to see another round of big splurge happening by these e-commerce players now that they are armed with so much of cash?
Sure. I think, first of all, this is definitely a very big development for the industry altogether. And from the way how it would be different from the last time, I don't think that you'll see the level of discounting and splurge as it happened last time, because at a different stage of growth, you need a different kind of levers, right? So probably 3 to 5 years back, or last 3 years or so, when e-commerce companies was trying to capture a lot of market share, lure people into the e-commerce buying for the first time, discounting did play a very important role. But from here on, I think a lot of this money and the investment would go into developing the market. For, let's say, if I speak specifically about Flipkart, they've been very conservative about marketing, about spreading their categories, and investing in supply chain lately, at least if not overall. So I see that at least those are 3-4 things which Flipkart would definitely start investing aggressively into, which Amazon has been doing fairly very well in the last couple of years. The second thing which I see, which would definitely happen, is in last 1 or 2 years, again, the number of online buyers have not increased drastically, and that has plateaued the market growth rate to some extent. So I think market has to grow, then unique buyers, the monthly buyers have to increase to a certain level. And for that to happen, the small city, tier 3, tier 4 folks have to start coming in and buying a lot more. And so that's another market expansion exercise which will take a lot of effort and money from these companies. So in my mind, these are the efforts which are going to take a lot more of this capital share rather than just a splurge of discounting which happened earlier.
Right. Mr. Ganesh, coming back to you, sir, if you can hear me, is this going to lead to another bubble-like scenario? That's what I want you to, tell us about. So much of money being flushed into the e-commerce ecosystem again. Are we setting ourselves up for yet another bubble-like scenario?
No, I don't think so, Chandra. I don't think we are setting up for a bubble-like scenario. We have just scratched the surface on e-commerce. There is a lot of headroom for growth, and I think having 2 or 3 horizontal, large, high-funded players will help in expanding the market, will help in changing consumer behavior, get the next 100 million people to come and shop online. All of that will happen with this capital. The capital was the only thing that was a challenge in the Flipkart's game plan and play, and with this, not just this capital, having SoftBank as an investor in the cap table solves that problem. So now I think we are very well set for a golden run in the Indian e-commerce industry, not just with Flipkart, but Flipkart, Amazon, and maybe one more horizontal player, and with a few vertical players. I think the capital issue has been clearly sorted out with this money and with an investor like SoftBank. I don't think it will lead to any bubble. They are all sensible people. There will be promotions, big $1 billion day sale is coming up. So you will see a lot of great offers, but the narrative is a lot bigger than the discounting. I don't think there's any bubble. The capital is coming in to top players. It's a great development.
Right. On that note, I'm afraid we're completely out of time in this edition of ET Now Startup Central. But thank you so much, Mr. Ganesh, for your perspective as always, and also Anil Kumar of Redseer, who gave us perspective on, the areas that Flipkart will need to focus on going forward. But certainly a landmark deal. Will this lead to a bubble? At least for now, people are not saying it will, but we will know in the coming months. Thanks so much for watching this special show.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/etnow.